Welcome to Dev Talks, an exciting part of 10 Days of Code, brought to you by the GNU Linux Users Group and IT Durgapur. We are thrilled to have you join us as we uncover the insights from industry leaders and explore groundbreaking technologies shaping our future. So, I am Davi Payan, your host for today, representing the GNU Linux Users Group and IT Durgapur, a passionate community committed to innovation and open source collaboration. So it's an honor to introduce our guest, Mr. Kiran sir, founder of Open Source DB, a PostgreSQL evangelist, and a leader in database operations with over 18 years of experience. Known for his expertise in distributed PostgreSQL and database administration, he's a driving force in open source innovation. Today, Mr. Kiran will dive us into topics like PostgreSQL, open source databases, and advanced database management, sharing how these technologies are transforming the tech industry. So let's get ready for an inspiring and insightful session. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Kiran sir. Sir,
Thank
we are really excited to have you with us. So to start off, could you tell us about your journey into the world of open source technology and the most trusted name in the open source relational databases, PostgreSQL?
sure, Das. Thank you so much for the introduction. I've got around about 18 years of experience, and I keep saying 18 years of taming the databases and getting to know a lot about open source ecosystem. In my journey of close to 2 decades, and working with Postgres has been an honor and a privilege over these years. Now, I started learning PostgreSQL in 2008. At that time, it was PostgreSQL 8. Now we are talking about PG 17. So the Postgres has seen a tremendous amount of shift. I have seen a lot of change in the way databases are actually dealt by the enterprises, by the student community, by the open source community, and it gave me the ringside view of how the data has changed so enormously. One of the reasons I struck with PostgreSQL, and I keep saying that I got married to PostgreSQL before I got married to my wife. It's just the way Postgres has been shaping up, right? You fall in love as and when you get to introduce with Postgres. That's one of the reasons why I have been an active contributor, an active speaker at PostgreSQL conferences, and a lot of community evangelism that I do. Off of that, PostgreSQL user groups is a great way to connect with the local Postgres community. And I had founded Hyderabad PostgreSQL user group with a couple of like-minded fellas who are also very passionate about Postgres. And continuing on this journey of community evangelism, I have also founded something called as Postgres Women India, which is now one of the driving forces to help women in tech, women in data, Postgres women within India and the subcontinent to have a voice and express themselves and create a diverse community. I mean, when you are connected to Postgres and when you are working with Postgres, so many opportunities come into your kitty, right? One of those opportunities was to become a Code of Conduct Committee member. This is closely working with the global PostgreSQL development group, the core group that formulates, governs the whole of Postgres. So, as a Code of Conduct Committee member, we work closely with the core committee to make sure everybody is comfortable with working on PostgreSQL, working for PostgreSQL and the community per se. And I have played various roles at companies like GE, Oracle, Optum, Second Quadrant, and EDB. These are some of the companies where I was able to get Postgres introduced And in the last job I was at Optum, I was able to successfully create a PostgreSQL COE, which is called as Center of Excellence, where people with database backgrounds can come and join and go about learning Postgres, implementing Postgres as their databases, and yeah, it has been a fun journey. I would say in the last 18 years and 15 years, to be specifically working closely with Postgres. Uh, I hope that answers the question, Das.
Yes, sir, definitely. And that was truly motivating. And since you said that you were introduced to PostgreSQL in companies like Oracle, so what makes it such a powerful choice for modern applications?
So, when Postgres, the open sourceness is the first and foremost thing most of the companies, enterprises actually get into. But when you look at PostgreSQL, right now, the reason why we call PostgreSQL as the world's most advanced open source relational database is the on par solutioning that it has, the on par feature set that it has, the performance driven coding practices that we have, right? And if you are on a PostgreSQL ecosystem and then you are setting up PostgreSQL databases, what are the four pivots that you would always want while you are choosing a database? You would want performance, you would want scalability, you would want extensibility, you would want the engineering maturity around the database, right? All of these four pivots are extremely important for the PostgreSQL Global Development Group. One of the reasons why we have these four pillars of Postgres's development and the roadmap that we follow, right? We are talking about PG 18, we are talking about PG 19, PG 17 is the latest and greatest version. So every year, so year on year, quarter by quarter, there are major releases coming, there are minor releases coming. So the security side of the story, the enhancements part of it, or the bugs that are part and parcel of Postgres are all getting sorted out and fixed at a rapid pace. So there is a lot of engineering cadence and coding acumen around PostgreSQL. So, like I said, the four pivots, the performance, scalability, extensibility, and the engineering maturity, all these four are actually complemented by a super awesome community driven culture, right? So there are multiple companies that are involved in Postgres development. So you look at the three cloud boys, right? The AWSs, GCPs, and Azures. So they have open source developers working exclusively on PostgreSQL. And there are individuals, right, who are not associated with any company, who are not associated to any profit making companies. They voluntarily go ahead and write Postgres code and make Postgres such a an enterprise ready or an enterprise level database system, right? Apart from these, right, now if you are looking for anything more, right, the extensibility in PostgreSQL is just out of the world. So when you are looking at an open source software, when you're looking at PostgreSQL to be specific, right, if you ask me what is the best part of working with PostgreSQL, it is the extensibility, right? So you will have tons and tons of extensions that are available, and you can make your Postgres database, which is a relational database, right? You could turn that relational database into a NoSQL database, right? In just a few clicks or a few commands, right? It is just installing extensions on your Postgres instance and making it a NoSQL database, right? Making it a GIS ready system, right? So there is an extension called PostGIS. If you install that on a Postgres instance, right? That becomes a GIS ready system, and you will be able to work with systems like ArcGIS, QGIS, which are some of the systems that actually help us build a lot of the aeronautical stuff, right? And when you call Postgres as a scalable database, heck yeah! So you will be able to go ahead and run PostgreSQL on terabytes and terabytes on database, right? You are looking at transactions per second, which is hitting 10,000s, 12,000s, 15,000s, right? Some of our folks, right, who are using UPI applications, right? Either Phone Pay or Bharat Pay or the NPCI, right? National Payments Corporation of India, right? That uses PostgreSQL, right? That is a super awesome testimonial for us to say Postgres is ready for the next generation, right? Postgres is here to say, and Postgres is gonna be the de facto database, right, for every use case that we can think of, be it an enterprise, be it a college grad thinking about, hey, how do I set up my database? Or how do I choose that database? Right? What is the exact database platform that I should be choosing on the cloud? Right? For every one of these, Postgres has a solid foundation and an answer. So that's where I would park myself and say, if you have got any follow-up questions, thus.
So since you talked about like the Postgres being used in NPCI and payments, so that brings us to our next point, which is security. So databases handle sensitive and critical data. So security becomes a top priority, right? So
Right.
how does PostgreSQL address security concerns, especially in open source environments?
Right. So, I mean, one of the bigger organizations is the non-profit one, which is the Postgres Global Development Group. We call it as PGDG, right? That there are core committees available, there are code of conduct committees available, and there is a security council, right? Just sitting and working on Postgres' security exclusively, right? If there is a security vulnerability that comes in, right, a CVE that comes on the ecosystem, right, be it on the FOSS ecosystem or some of the databases ecosystem, right. So this Postgres Security Council works to make sure that Postgres is not impacted by that CVE, right. So it's not no, it's not a one-off process that we have. Hey, we are going to be releasing Postgres 17, right? We are going to be releasing Postgres 18 in October of 2025, right? Let's just do a quick penetration test. Let's just do a quick vulnerability assessment of Postgres. No, that's not what Postgres Security Council works day in and day out to make sure any CVE that is introduced by the vulnerability committee at the global vulnerability committee, that is not being impacted. If there is an impact, right? Say, for example, CVE, the couple of CVEs that we had hit off late, on the operating system binaries with a couple of kernel stuff. The Security Council worked left, right, center to make sure there is a one-off release, right? So Postgres minor releases are done every quarterly. What we did is, because we found out that the CVE is going to be impacting Postgres, we did a one-off minor version and then said, hey, this is the CVE, this is the impact that it had on the Postgres, right? These are all the versions that it covers, right? So starting from Postgres 12, 13, 14, and 15, which is supported by the Global Development Group, all of those versions of Postgres were patched and the CVE got resolved. So, in a nutshell, if I have to summarize, security is super now important for Postgres, and look at it from a 10,000 feet of hey, is there a security committee that is there? Yes, Is there a council that works day in and day out on some of this stuff? Yes. If you get a little more into the Postgres database and say, hey, now does a security feature like auditing is available in Postgres? Yes, it is available. When you look at authorization and authentication and to be integrating with some of the security components, right? CM is one of the components that most of the enterprises use, right? There is CIS, Center for Internet Security. So CIS works closely with Postgres. Whenever there is a new version of Postgres, it's make sure the CIS benchmarking for Postgres is introduced by them, right? So as and when the Postgres 17 got released, we have a CIS benchmark for Postgres 17 introduced, right? So that's the whole rinse and repeat that we do with a lot of security ops. If you look at the code, if you look at how some of the security integrations that work, right? How do we look at integrating the Postgres databases with external devices? That biometrics is one of them, right? So for every one of those, right, latest and greatest technologies that come, Postgres will have those integrations ready, right? So biometric systems is one of the cool little things that I have seen off it, where we worked with one of our customers and said, hey, I've got a Postgres system, I've got a biometric system, I've got a retina scanner system. How do I make sure my Postgres could be a data store where I can store this information, store this critical information, and then make sure the whole authorization and authentication is just bundled into one software, right? So Postgres does have a cool bit of integration with them too, right? It's just the way we look at when you said payment industry and security go hand in hand, right? So we take security so very seriously at Postgres environment and ecosystem that there are companies exclusively working and developing products that are now security related and exclusively for Postgres. Now you understand the enormous Postgres ecosystem, and then how security is very important for us, right? It's just paramount for us is an understatement that I can say.
So it's reassuring to know how dedicated the Postgres community is to maintaining a secure and transparent platform. So moving on to our next question, let's talk about AI. Like it's just such a hot topic right now, right?
Yes.
It's rapidly changing how we approach to so many aspects of technology. So with advancements in AI and automation, how do you see these technologies impacting database management, along with the role of database administrators in the near future?
So, I mean, I would essentially put this as Postgres and AI collaboration, right? And you look at, so what are your strengths as a database, right? When Postgres is one of the advanced data handling capabilities, right? One of the advanced data analytic engines, right? Postgres can be transformed from OLTP to OLAP, from OLAP to decision making systems, right? Postgres engine itself has got a rock solid foundation, right? For Postgres to handle, right, all of these capabilities, and you are looking at a synergy of Postgres and AI working hand in hand, right? So I would broadly classify these as three pivots, thus, right? One is combining, how strong Postgres is, right? Combining the database strengths with AI, right? And then the second pivot is more of how do I look at integrating more and more systems, right? More and more systems are actually building AI models, right? More and more systems are actually integrating with lot of similarity searches, right? They are looking at semantic and similarity searches, right? Where do we feed that data, right? What is the trend towards that integrated system? And the third pivot I would look at is how are we transforming our workflows? right? How is that exact pipeline, right? The data pipeline that we are actually making for our life to be a smoother and in a cool course of the way, right? So when you are looking at processing the data, right? So from an application, you are trying to process the data. Look at the 9 yards of how the whole data is transformed, how the data is persisted, how the data is fed into the decision making systems like data warehouses, lake houses, or the reporting and analytics engines that we have. Right. So if you look at these, combining Postgres' strength, right, which is to integrate with a lot of extensions, the extensions like PG vector, right, PG underscore vectorize, right. There are tons of other extensions that has the capability of giving you full text search, right? So you look at Postgres' advanced data handling capabilities and look at the AI analytical power, right? That's when you are going to be enabling a super easy decision making systems, and that decision making systems will actually traverse your way, right? That will actually traverse you into the next coming trend, or what are the hot trends where your systems could be integrated, right? Where the systems could go hand in hand with your stuff, right? So most of the current trend is looking at, hey, I do not want to create another data store for my AI models to play with, right? So as and when the real-time data is coming through into the systems, right, you should have in database AI models that does the vector search for you, that does the seamless AI deployments. And how do you do that? So we are creating roles like ML ops, right? ML engineers, right? AI ML ops. So that is the trend that we are going. That is the trend that we are taking our Postgres engine towards, right? With the introduction of these extensions, right? And then you have got a strong Postgres database which has the capability to support in database AI models itself, right? Which means that whatever the real time data that you are processing, right, that real time processing is actually feeding your AI models, and your AI models are actually learning on the fly, which means that the hallucination indexes or the accuracy levels of your AI models will drastically improve. And then, I mean, I cannot say that these models will be 100% accurate. I would be lying if I say these models will be 100% accurate. But the thrust towards, right, going towards that 100 percentage of accuracy, and getting that, getting to that, sweet spot of, more reliance, right, more reliable AI model. That's exactly what we are talking about. And like I mentioned, the third pivot, right, which is more of transforming your workflow, right? So like I said, when there is a direct database transactions that are being processed by your application, you should have a solid data pipeline from your application user, the end user that is using, say for example, the UPI transaction. When we are doing that UPI transaction, you should have the data pipeline and the workflow in place for you to say, hey, how many transactions did DAS do at this point of time, right? On a December 21st, how many transactions had been done? And if there are any error messages, or if there are any errors in those transactions, how do I go back to DAS and find out, hey, these are the error transactions that you have, right? And then on December 21st of 2023, right? On December 21st of 2022, right? How did DAS do, right? Where all the places that you have gone, right? So again, it poses you a question to ask me, what is the security, right? How anonymous the data is, right? What is that model that is going to feed that data, right? Whether am I exposing myself to a financial fraud by saying, hey, no, this is what I have been doing with my UPI transactions, I had sent $100 to Shravan. I had sent received $1,000 from a person A, right? So all of these you will have to get into your AI model, right? Though the data could be anonymous, it actually builds a lot of truth and then intelligence on it, right? That's the three pivots that we should be looking at, even when we look at Postgres and the Postgres plus AI collaboration that I've got.
That's really a fascinating perspective on how the field is evolving, sir. So, sir, since you mentioned about extensions like once or twice, could you mention some of the most important extensions?
Right. So I would say, start from my favorite extensions, right? Of some of the years together we had spent, right? So there are extensions like Postgres, Post GIS, right? And then these extensions are some that actually help you to create within your database system, right? So you are actually looking at your geometrical data, you are looking at your navigation data, you are able to integrate GraphQL on top of PostgreSQL itself, right? That's one super cool extension that I really enjoy working with, as my job requires, right? There's another extension called as PG Logical. This is one of those very old extensions, right? It has been there in existence since 9.4, which is round about 10 years old, or 10 to 12 years old. And this had given the logical replication, this introduced logical replication to Postgres. And logical replication is an important component for a very great amount of enterprises, right? For me to pick and choose what I am replicating from a source to target. So previously in Postgres, it had physical replication, which is entire instance lift and shift, right? So you have got a primary database server and a read replica. So your physical replication is going to help you and make sure the entire lift and shift of the data is running smooth, right? Everybody were super happy with it. And people got a little more inquisitive and said, hey, I've got a 1 terabyte of database on my source side. I do not want to do the entire 1 terabyte, but I would like to do only a 50 to 100 GB of that data, right? And on a constant real time basis. How do I do it? PG Logical was introduced, and we were like super happy that we are only grabbing or replicating the data that the user requires to be made available on the target set, right? Again, PG Logical germinated and then matured, and now with PG Logic, I mean PG 10, Postgres 10 version, PG Logical got added into the whole core product of Postgres, right? So the extensions, one of the real cool ways of working with extensions is, if there is a good amount of adoption for a specific extension, that code will become part and parcel of the core, right? Of course, there are a lot of dynamics and theatrics around the code quality, the engineering maturity that you got to get, the security that we will have to make sure every one of those extensions are there, and how these extensions, right, when they are added to core, are going to be behaving, right? Does it improve the scale? Does it hamper in any way? Does it have any regressions? All of these are part and parcel of it, right? And then another very important operational DPS extension front is PG stat statements. Again, this is an extension that has been there in the Postgres ecosystem for a very long time. What it does, simple set of tasks, right? It is going to go ahead and look at your query analysis, how many reads have been done, how many writes have been done, right? Whether the query has been behaving optimally or not, right? How do I make sure these SQL queries are going to be looking at uh, performing at the SLAs that we have promised to the customer or not, right? And then you talk about uh, other extensions like, do we have time series extensions? Yeah, timescale DB has helped us with a bunch of extensions which help us in making sure we are working closely with IoT devices, right? IoT devices require time series databases, right? They go as granular as milliseconds and do a lot of computations on them, right? If you are looking at an oil and gas system and then you are monitoring an oil and gas system, you would need a lot of time series data, right? What is exactly happening on that per millisecond, right? Is it pumping the data? Is it pumping the custodian data or not, right? So to simply put, time series, yeah, you be on Postgres, there are time series extensions. You take a step ahead and take a good hard look at extensions like Spark, right? So Spark is one of those new extensions that got into the existence. This is developed by a company called PG Edge. What they did is they got the distributed databases ecosystem, again into the Postgres and say, hey, use Spark extension and you will be able to seamlessly integrate, and make your database as a fully distributed database, right? And who does not need distributed databases in this world, right? We're talking about edge computing, right? We are looking at companies like Cloudflare, Vercel. All of these are the CDNs, right? The content data networks that talk about getting closer to the user. But what happens if the data is not closer, right? That's exactly how you will be able to go ahead and distribute your data, right? Spock is one of those extensions. There are a few other companies that do distributed databases which are based on Postgres. The beauty with some of these extensions is they are available for standard Postgres. They are available on 100% open source, which is again a very, very important component, right? For us to look at the source code, for us to look at how well they have written, if you would like to add any enhancement, you just go ahead and contribute to that code base, right? There is flexibility, there are top of the notch features, and the next generation, what some of the enterprises would require, all those niche use cases are also being handled by these extensions. That's again another a cool way of looking at extensions. I mean, I can go on and on with these extensions, but these are some of the ones that I would definitely let our audience know about.
Okay, sir. Those are really some cool and helpful extensions.
Yeah.
So moving forward, let's talk about what challenges you have faced as an open source advocate and how have you overcome them.
I mean, till 15 years of my career, I have been an employee working at companies like GE, Oracle's, and a few startups and a conglomerate like UHG. Uh, so people look at Postgres as this is an open source database, and there is no one body or one company which is accountable for Postgres's growth, Postgres's security modus operandi, or how Postgres could be sold. Say for example, Postgres is sold to a company, and then all of this becomes null and void, right? There is, I mean, the way Postgres is understood by some of the CXOs, understood by some of the companies, some of the enterprises is that got to change, right? And then people like us, right? Fast enthusiasts like you and I, all of us, right? There is an inherent responsibility of us educating them, right? Making sure that Postgres is governed by a non-profit organization called Postgres Global Development Group. There is security which is there. There is Postgres advocacy that is there, there is code of conduct committee that is there, right? And then for people who are used to a lot of oracles and SQL servers, right? So the one important piece is cost. Obviously, right? Everybody wants to go to open source. Everybody wants to look at how cost optimal their solution is, right? There no variation between capex and opex, right? People look at these numbers, right? And when we look at the capital expenditure and the operational expenditure, right? So we have Postgres as one of the stalwarts. Now it says, hey, I could do anything that an Oracle database can do, right? I could offer any advanced features that an Oracle advanced product list can do, right? So it is our responsibility to advocate a lot of these SMBs, right? A lot of these SMEs and make sure, oh, okay, the Postgres can do a lot of security. Postgres can be integrated to a lot of stuff, right? There's only very few people who advocate Postgres, right? And then there are tons and tons of companies who may or may not know about the whole range of Postgres, right? That's where our community outreach, community evangelism actually comes in, right? So when somebody says that contributing to Postgres is just not writing source code, right? There are whole gamut of things that you can do, right? You could do, go to academics and say, educate the folks, and then let them get introduced to Postgres at a very, very nascent stage, right? Make them understand how Postgres is important, how Postgres is actually banging on the doors of oracles and the SQL servers, and making sure and say, hey, we are competing with you giants just with the open source software product, right? That is one a challenge that I see. And then the second is, everybody talks about cost as the first and foremost thing, right? But if you really look at the next generation, right? You would want to do a lot of AI integration and stuff, right? So you would want one database platform that is open source, that is reliable, and it is next generation ready. When we see Postgres is next generation ready, there have been examples that I quoted, right? How quickly you will be able to transform a normal database into an AI ready, right? How quickly you will be able to install PG vector extension on your database, and then your database becomes empowered with the semantic and the similarity search indexes, right? That's just super easy to do, right? And a second or the third piece that I would look at is, till people look at Postgres, install Postgres, deploy Postgres, they would not understand how easy it is to work with Postgres, as a matter of fact, right? That is just a super cool thing. For you to set up a Postgres, you just have to create an Ansible job, go to the postgresql.org, download, boom, right? You are up and running. And then if you are looking for setting up a high available system, you go ahead and set up another a replica of a server, right? The ease of use is just at a different level, I would say. And I have been, and I started as an Oracle DBA, and then I worked a lot on Microsoft SQL Server, right? The reason why I transitioned from these Microsofts and Oracles and struck with Postgres is just one of the reasons is the ease of use and the ease at which I will be able to go ahead and get folks onto Postgres ecosystem, right? It's just one of the ways. Adoption is one, and then the barrier of making sure Postgres is a easy to use database platform, right? Educating these folks is another challenge that we had put. I mean, I believe in the last 3.5 years, we have, as a company, right? I founded Open Source DB, and we have been working with customers and saying only one mantra that we have, right? If you are looking for a cost-effective, cloud-ready, AI-ready, ML-ready solution that is going to work and get integrated to your application via Postgres, right? That is good enough. One of the reasons why we say all you need is Postgres.
That's great, really great to know how future ready the Postgres is. And also, your journey is truly a testament to the effort behind advancing the Postgres or open source. So, our next question would be, how does PostgreSQL handle the complexities of distributed databases?
Yes. So when I talk about distributed databases, thus right now there are three important pillars, or three important aspects you would look at. Right. One is the high availability that a distributed database should require. Right. So when we say high availability and distributed databases, right? So you should be in a position to go ahead and look at multiple database instances, and all of these have to be closer to the user and in a read write mode, which means you are looking at MMR concepts, right? MMR architecture. MMR stands for multi master replication architecture, right? These are active solutions we are looking at. That's one. Second is the low latency that you would want to introduce into your application and the whole platform per se, right? How do you introduce this low latency? One way is you are getting the data closer to your user, right? And how are you getting it? You are able to scale, and then you are able to set up your database, your Postgres database servers within the same region, within the same availability zone, within the same cities where you are trying to process data, right? If you are a geographically available platform, right, for you to set up a 5 node clusters on all nook and corners of the world, you are set, right? So there is this find the nearest node concept, right, which should be part and parcel of every distributed database ecosystem, I would say, right? And then I also mentioned about a company called PGH, which does this at a very good pace, right? And then they are doing it with such majority that their cloud product, PGH Cloud, right? They are able to find the nearest node, look at what is the data distribution that needs to happen, if there are any compliance management, right? If there is any data governance, right? So when you are looking at a geographically distributed database systems, you got to take care of a lot of compliance, right? So you got to adhere to the rule of the land that they say, right? So if you have to be doing these geographically distributed databases, you got to make sure your data sovereignty and data governance is completely baked into your database solution, right? And that is one another important factor that you should look at, right? That's the way I kind of envision, and we are seeing a lot of great work being carried out in the Postgres ecosystem, right? So high availability, low latency, data sovereignty, plus the data governance and the compliance management, that is revolving around your governance, sovereignty, and then the whole compliance industry that is revolving around the data.
Okay, sir.
Another
You're
mention of this is, like I said, there are other companies that are doing it, right? One other way of, wholly looking at it from a different lens is, can I shard my data, right? Data sharding is another, piece you would know a good clear thought on, right? If your architecture, the application and the platform architecture that you are building, right, has the capability to work with database shards, right? So you should have a leader plus coordinator node when you are sharding the databases, right? If your application and platform uh, can work with these sharded databases, right? Now, if the application is shard compliant, right, then you will also look at the Citus data or the Microsoft's open source extension called as Hyperscale, right? That is another cool extension which is looking into the database, right? The distributed database ecosystem, right? Another cool project that I have worked really really closely with, and helped few of our prospects and customers to adopt to that sharding. Thus, I interrupted you in a while ago. So what was the thought?
No, no, so it was completely fine. And your explanation about the topic really simplified it. And moving on to our next question, what trends or upcoming features in PostgreSQL excite you the most?
So when you say the trends we have in place, right? So the three trends that I would say, right? Very very high level, right? From an adoption standpoint, from modernization of the database ecosystems standpoint, right? How would you look at these? Is one is obviously how well you will integrate Postgres with cloud, right? So when we look at cloud, it is, I mean, there are memes saying, cloud is just another system, another Linux system on somebody else's machine, right? So when Postgres is being made available as a managed service by most of the clouds, right? You've got AWS, GCP, Azure, DigitalOcean, or Oracle, Oracle for that matter, right? Being as such a strong advocate of commercial database called Oracle, right? OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, has got a managed services for Postgres, right? That itself is a testament for Postgres to be such a popular tool, such a popular database as a service towards their Oracle customers, right? So cloud adoption is one, I would say, right? The emerging cloud adoption, or how well they are working with these CSPs, right? The cloud service providers, Postgres, the applications, the platforms, the customers, and the whole gamut of the ecosystem that is around, right? So cloud adoption is definitely one of those trends. But when somebody says cloud adoption, right, I would always want to emphasize on one very important point, which is how do you mitigate cloud concentration risk, right? So the cloud concentration risk is a pretty massive topic, right? We do not have time to get into all the dynamics around it. In a very very short way, for us to understand what is cloud concentration risk, putting all your eggs in one basket, and what happens if that basket gets lost, what happens if that basket gets into an accident prone scenario, right? It's a very simple thing, right? Putting your entire services, your database, your app, your middleware, your message queues, your entire user experience, right? If you put in one cloud, and if for some or the other reason one of those cloud region is not available, that availability zone has gone for a power disruption or a natural calamity, right? What happens? Your services are down, right? You have a service disruption, which means you are losing money, you are losing customer experience, you are losing your shares, right? So this jeopardizes. What we are saying with cloud concentration risk is, make sure you have a hybrid cloud or a hybrid system in place, right? Your applications should be running on your cloud, not on one single cloud, but on a couple of clouds. And you also have an on-prem system that is within your data center, that is under your control. So you always have a mitigation plan, right? You always have a contingency plan, even when one of the cloud service provider has service disruptions, right? So that's one. Whenever we are looking at any customers or any enterprises going to cloud, we make this point, right? Make sure you are mitigating your cloud concentration risk, right? And moving on right now, apart from the cloud adoption, right, next is the application modernization, right? So when we say what are the latest trends, right? Now we are seeing a lot of Oracle shops coming to Postgres, right? We are seeing a lot of Sybase shops, coming to Postgres. So that is not just the database that is getting transitioned from these legacy systems, right? So you are looking at the whole gamut of things like your application, your user, your drivers that are part and parcel of handling your operations, right? So the way your IT operations are being held, right? Where your servers are there, where your storages are there, right? You are transforming your legacy systems in such a way that you are using Postgres as one of your components, right? Use Apache software, like you've got Apache Foundation has got tons and tons of products that will help you in modernizing your application stack. That's one thing, right? So when we look at application modernization, right? Now some of the cool little stacks that I have seen, tick stack is one, MERN is one, right? Some of the AI ML ready stacks are some of the ones, right? L stack, which has been there for a very long time, right? All of these are going to help you to transform the entire application, right? It's not just the database component, it's the entire application modernization that we would look at, right? And we spoke about AI ready, right? The AI collaboration that some of the database platforms are going through, right? They are evolving, and Postgres is evolving at a rapid pace, right? So when we look at serverless computing, right? When you look at your cloud plus serverless computing, how do you look at containerization of your whole systems, right? How do you go towards microservices, and then how do you go towards containerized deployments, right? So that modern architectures that we are looking at are these are the components that constitute of that, right? So serverless computing, right? Containerization with Kubernetes, right? And CNCF is Center for Computing Foundation, right? So CNCF does a super cool job, just like the Postgres ecosystem, right? They spend tons and tons of education and resources, and make sure that we are aware of these latest things that are happening in the Kubernetes ecosystem, that is happening in the cloud native world, right? So how cloud native your platform could be, right? What it does for your system to be cloud native ready, right? So that's the modernization of the whole thingy that we are talking about, right? That is definitely trending, right? One of the very reasons why every cloud have got their own cloud native product, their own cloud native flurry of services that we have got, right? So these three cloud bars that we have, all of them have their own Kubernetes variant, all of them have their own serverless computing resources and services to offer, right? So that itself is a testament that okay, no, this is there, right? We are going in the trend towards these containerization ecosystems, right? And obviously the AI piece is going to stay for a very very long time. The way we are going to use AI may change, but AI is here to stay. Definitely, that is a trend. I mean, I would be lying if I say AI is not a trendy thing. No, somebody would come and yell at me and say, "Hey, it is definitely a trend." So yeah, the Postgres and FOSS, right, the fully open source software ecosystem, both have been contributing a lot, both have been doing a lot of great work in the AI ML ecospace, for sure.
It's really exciting to see where Postgres is actually headed. Thank you for sharing that. Now we have a few questions from the audience. Let's hear their
Sure.
thoughts and expert opinion on that.
Where do I
So,
see those questions, thus?
sorry, sir.
Where do I see those questions?
I'm reading them out, sir.
Oh, great. Cool. Thank you.
So we have a question from Sudhi. As a fresher with knowledge of Postgres, how can I secure an opportunity where most employers are looking for candidates with experience?
Please come and talk to me, Sudhir. So jokes apart, so when you say you have knowledge of Postgres, and then when you look at Postgres source code, or you look at some tiny thing that may or may not be the way you want, right? So what I would say is go ahead and look at the Postgres source code. For that matter, not only the Postgres source code, right? Any of the extensions, or for that matter, any systems and deployments that you can encounter with, right? Go ahead and write about them, right? Go ahead and blog about them, right? Feel free to talk about your Postgres knowledge, right? Reach out to your Postgres companies that are hiring, right? And then Postgres companies are super super cool, Sudhir, right? They don't bother about the amount of experience that you have got. They are looking for some fresh talent, people like us, right? We are looking for fresh talent, people who know or have that flair and passion towards Postgres. Experience does not matter, right? And I am saying this as one of the founders of a Postgres company.
Okay, so Sudhir, I hope you have got your answer. So we have our next question from Shashidhar Reddy. How can I contribute to Postgres as a newbie?
So Postgres has been there for a very, very long time, right? So there is history around it. There are architecture principles. There are engineering principles. It is written in ANSI. It's 12 o'clock. And you have got for you to understand and for you to make sure to start contributing to that, right? It takes a bit of time, right? And then the contributors or the hackers or the committers that we have in the Postgres community are very very welcoming when some of these new ideas or newbies actually come and knock on our doors, right? And say, hey, this is what I would like to contribute. What I suggest for some of the newbies is look at the documentation first, right? People tend to take not so very good hard look at the documentation, but I have seen open source software for a very long time, and Postgres documentation is one of the top notch documentations that we are super super proud of, right? Being one of the available to the public, right? Go ahead and contribute to that documentation, right? If you look at a feature, you do not understand it, and then you test that feature, right? Contribute to that documentation, right? Give us an example of what you had did, right? That is a very very cool way of starting your contribution, right? And then the second level I would say is there are commit fests that are happening on the Postgres ecosystem, right? We are talking about a commit fest that is coming up in Jan Feb, right? You will be able to go ahead and pick up a patch or collaborate with the actual developer that is writing that code or the change or the fix or the enhancement to Postgres, and then express your interest in saying, hey, I would like to test this particular code, right? I would like to write some automated regression suite which will help you give you more confidence, saying that hey, this bug has been tested in various scenarios, right? We need all the hands that can definitely help, right? Hands that can help are absolutely welcome, right? The third level is once get to know a great amount of documentation, once you have done a couple of commit fests and then tested a few patches, and then you are getting to know the hackers, you are getting to know the people that are a part and parcel of the community, right? Third is to get subscribed to a bunch of subscription lists that are there, right? If you go to postgresql.org, there is community, and then you will be able to create now using your Gmail. You will be able to create your profile and get subscribed to some of these distribution lists, right? The mailing lists that are there, right? So get subscribed to, say, for example, if you would like to know how is the performance of Postgres, right? What is the actual roadmap for Postgres, right? So you can go ahead and subscribe yourself for that respective mailing list, and then get to know a lot about them, right? There are a lot of hackers in the pgsql-hackers at postgresql.org, right? That is the mecca of all the distribution lists, I would say, right? So you will be overwhelmed looking at the discussions, right? How tough these discussions are, right? Some of the discussions that happen is to the internals of Postgres, right? What exactly happens at the core part of the product, at the core part of the engine, right? So for you to get there, there is a passage that you could take, right? That passage is look at documentation, contribute to testing the patches, write small extensions if you would want, right? Get yourself proficient with the source code that is already available in Postgres, right? And if you are a good person who loves and interests in writing C code like me, yeah, feel free to go ahead and pitch in and say, hey, I would like to change this part of it. Propose what is your idea, right? Have strong data points for your supporting that change, right? At what scenario have you encountered this change, and why are you proposing that change, right? There's a whole I would say a big Netflix series that could be made just saying how to contribute to Postgres, right? I hope that
Oh,
answers Shashidhar Reddy's question.
yes, I guess so. So it's really not that difficult to start contributing, but you have to keep the way.
Yep.
So let's end this session. So thank you, Mr. Kiran, for such an incredibly engaging and insightful session. Your
Sure.
expertise in PostgreSQL, distributed systems, and open source technologies has been an eye opener for all of us. So, to everyone here, let's take inspiration from today's session and continue exploring, building, and contributing to open source. On behalf of the GNU Linux Users Group in IT Durgapur, thank you all for being a part of Dev Talks as a part of the 10 Days of Code. Let's keep this momentum alive for the rest of the program. Until next time, keep learning, keep coding, and keep innovating. Have a
Yeah.
great day.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.